Hello everyone, it's Cassie here. Welcome back for another Trinity Stamps video. Today we are going to be making some shaker tag cards. Yes, all of it in one. And we're going to be using the Gilded gift frame along with our mini winter greetings. Now you'll see some of those greetings are actually missing, but that's because they're in my little tidy tray. I've already die cut out those pieces and some of those letters stayed in there, so we're just going to leave all that together. And then I am going to bring in these newer embellishments. We've got our Snow Day, which is the more blue one. We've got our Candy Cottage, which is the more pink one. And then we have our classic Christmas confetti. And I was inspired by those. That's where my color combinations are going to come from. I've got out my quick cutter because, like I said, we're going to do some foiling. And this first color that I have cut is called Emerald. And I trimmed that down. And I've got two other colors that I've trimmed down. One is the teal and the other is the silver holographic facets. And how I like to do mine is put my paper down, put my foil down pretty side up, and then I'll put my foiler right on top of that, flip everything over, put it on my Glimmer hot foil system when it tells me it's ready, hit my timer button, and then go about my business until that timer button stops blinking. Then I can run this through my Platinum 6. Then we bring that whole system back and we can slowly peel back our foil to reveal what you got going on here. It's so pretty. And we'll let that kind of cool down and then I can foil the other two. I'm not going to show you all of that. But let's zoom in and we'll do some coloring. Now I did do this onto some very smooth white cardstock. I believe it's that Hammer and Mill. But I got to be honest with you, I have done my foiling on lots of different kinds of cardstock. You just have to play around with your things and see what works best. I've watched the videos. I've paid attention to the tips. I haven't watched a ton of videos on how to do it. And if you go back to my channel, you'll see that I have lots of videos on foiling. But I'll be honest with you, just kind of, for me at least, playing around with my supplies and seeing what works best for me has always been my best teacher. So yeah, that's what I highly recommend for people is just jump in and try. You don't know, I suppose, if you can do it on a cardstock that has a little bit of tooth to it unless you try. It doesn't always work for people, but the more you play with your machine, your materials, your stuff, and learning yourself, I guess, the better off you'll be. And then you can share tips, I suppose, with others. But I have just found that my best tip to give you is play with what you have. Because everybody's machines are probably a little bit different too. So my Platinum 6 might cut a little bit differently than yours does. I'm sure they're all basically the same, but maybe mine has a little bit different pressure than yours does too. So your best teacher is yourself sometimes. Just play, which is what I like to do. All right, so I've brought in my markers. These are my Olo markers, and I'm just coloring right over the top, just using those Olo markers. I have found that it actually does kind of dull down my foil just a little bit. It doesn't bother me enough to not do it. But yeah. So I brought in some reds and some greens. And again, I was going off of those embellishment packs, being inspired by those color combinations. So you'll notice in the end, the other two that I ended up making, and I colored that part red when I should have colored it green. But the other two that I ended up making are pink and blue. And I feel like with this particular die, yes, it's obviously very wintry, but you could use this foil for winter birthdays as well. I think you could really have a lot of fun with that. So we're going to finish coloring these and then I'll color the other two. I won't show you all the coloring for that. And then we're going to bring in our dies to die cut these out. So it comes with two dies. You've got your foiler and your two dies. And I'm going to die cut out the whole piece. And then that center, which you wouldn't have to do, but because I want to make these into a shaker, that center goes in there as well. So I'm going to tack that down with a little bit of mint tape. Both the outside and the inside, and then we'll run all of these through our die cutting machine to reveal like little windows. Then I'm going to need that solid piece again, that solid die, and I'm going to die cut out two pieces of white cardstock, one for each of those tags that you see up there. That's going to be the back of our tag. Then I'm also, because I said I wanted to make these into cards, I have a piece of cardstock that I have folded in half, and I am going to die cut, leaving that top portion together. So that way that has a crease and a fold that isn't going to, get cut through. I'm also going to take the one piece and cut through some acetate, and I keep my foil with my acetate, or not my foil, my tissue with my acetate, and then I die cut those out because I find that's a little bit easier to do. You have a couple different options to adhere down that acetate to the front of your shaker tag. And I'm going to use some Crafty Glue Friend. You could use some rip and stick tape, which would be double-sided adhesive. But I like to use the Crafty Glue Friend. Just don't go all the way to the edges and then you won't have any seepage through. I just find that my Crafty Glue Friend holds really, really well. And then I'm going to take my double-sided adhesive strips. I'm going to double them up, and I'm going to put those on the back going all the way around my shaker tag. I'm even going to fill in those parts that are the upper portion, but when you make your tag or like your window around your shaker, make sure that your foam adhesive touches the other bits of foam adhesive. You want to make sure that you have a nice well in there that isn't going to allow for any of the shaker bits to fall out. And then I'll just finish up by taking the foam adhesive all around. Okay, so there you have it. Then I'm going to open up my confetti bits, and I'm going to be pretty liberal by putting that in there. I want all that in there. Look at how pretty those are. You got light green, dark green, you have little stars, you have clear, silver, red. It's so pretty. And I did peel off the release paper, but I'm going to go ahead and use some Crafty Glue Friend on the back of that as well. This just gives me a tiny bit of wiggle room. If I just stuck my paper down on top and I didn't put it on correctly, it's down. But using that Crafty Glue Friend on top of your double-sided adhesive gives you a little bit of extra time. So that's on there. I love it. I think it works out great. And I'm going to do that for the other two tags as well before I attach the card base to it. I did use some of my Olos again because I wanted everything to match. So I'm coloring this part blue, the other part I'm going to color red, and I'm going to cut out all of my shadows for my words from the mini winter greetings. So that way everything matches perfectly. So there's my shadows all die cut out. All of my words themselves have been cut out using white cardstock. And then I am going to use some reverse tweezers. That just makes them a lot easier to hold. And I'm going to glue them all down using my Crafty Glue Friend. No, it is not like a super precision tip, and I'm not being super careful with how much glue I'm putting on there. As you can see, I had a good amount seep out. But you'll see in the end, it dries clear, it's not shiny, it's matte finish, and it works out just fine. Now, if I was doing this on top of, say, like some gold cardstock, I'd probably be a little bit more careful because that can show on those mirror cardstocks. But this is some plain cardstock that I've colored with a marker, so I'm not worried about the seepage. So I will glue all of those letters down for the word holiday, and then I have greeting as well, and then I do it for all the others. We've got winter wishes and then hugs and kisses. And then I'm going to take those and I'm going to glue those down to the front of our shaker tag. So I'll just put those, center those up on there. So we've got holiday greetings on this one. And then this is where I'm going to bring in my little card base that I made. I'm going to use a little bit of rip and stick tape on one of those upper corners. It probably doesn't matter. So one of those corners, I'll peel off that release paper with my reverse tweezers, and then I've got some jute, and I have cut that down. So this is going to be the part that would attach my tag, my shaker tag card to whatever it is I want to attach it to, my present, bottle of wine, whatever you want to do. I'm going to use that Crafty Glue Friend to glue all around that, and then stick my panel on top of that little card base. And then there it opens up nicely. And then I'll just tie a little knot on top of this one. And then I'll complete the other two as well. And I'll show you how those end up looking. But I love these. So this is the original one I made. I had a lot of requests to make it again to show you how I did it. I did put a greeting inside of that. That greeting comes from our Insider Sentiments, and there is a matching die to go along with it. So if you wanted to add some sentiments on the inside, you absolutely could. But I'm so in love with these. I want to make more because I love to have plenty of tags at Christmas time, because my friends will put these on their Christmas tree afterwards because they're just really pretty, right? My mom saves all of them and uses them on her tree as well. So yeah, I love how these turned out, and I hope you do too. If you do, please hit that like button. Definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And as always, I'll see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.